Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome, 8th graders, to today's explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are unlocking a literal superpower, one you're going to use for the rest of your life. We are talking about reading, but actually scratch that, not just sounding out words on a page. We're talking about reading to truly, deeply understand.
So, be honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever stared at a textbook, aggressively speed read your way down to the very bottom of the page, stopped, and realized you absorbed absolutely zero information? Yeah, your eyes did all the work, but your brain totally went on vacation. Look, it's one of the most frustrating common struggles in 8th grade. You think you're saving time by going fast, but really, you've just wasted 5 minutes because now you got to do the whole shebang all over again.
So here's our roadmap for today's masterclass. First, the true meaning of fluency. Second, how to monitor comprehension. Third, real-world reading examples. Fourth, your homework and application. And finally, the Gadley learner philosophy.
Section 1, the true meaning of fluency.
Okay, first things first, we need to completely shatter the myth that fast reading equals good reading. Fluency is so much more than just speed. It's reading in a way that supports understanding, leads to deeper learning, and builds way stronger recall. Look, reading quickly is totally useless if you don't actually know what you just read, right? Strong, fluent readers actually know how to adjust their tone for clarity. They actively use punctuation cues, pausing at commas or putting emphasis on questions to aid their own understanding. It's all about the rhythm, not rushing.
And honestly, this isn't even a new concept. Proverbs 1:5 says, "Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance." Now, I don't want you to just look at this as some old saying. Think of it as the ultimate historical life hack for active learning. Being wise means paying attention to what you don't know and actively seeking out the guidance to understand it. That is exactly what discerning reading is all about.
Moving on to Section 2, how to monitor comprehension. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the process.
Here is the actual process of self-correction, broken down into 3 golden rules. Step 1, notice when the reading just doesn't flow. Step 2, stop and reread. In fact, did you notice how I just purposely slowed down my vocal pacing right there? You literally need to do the exact same thing in your mind. If you stumble over words or lose track of the meaning, hit the brakes. Read it aloud occasionally to catch the issue. And step 3, actively ask yourself, do I understand what I just read? If the answer is no, you absolutely do not move on to the next paragraph.
As you start stopping and checking, you're going to start noticing patterns. Maybe you constantly struggle with really long sentences. Maybe you trip over unfamiliar vocabulary words. Or maybe you just completely lose track of who is talking during dialogue. Identifying these specific patterns is a total game changer. It allows you to mark the exact places where you naturally struggle so you can make highly targeted improvements over time.
Let's hit Section 3, real-world reading examples.
Let's look at a relatable scenario where meaning just completely breaks down. Read that first sentence. The data was reluctant to the study. Does that make any sense? No way. Data can't feel reluctance. But, if you're speed reading, you might skip right past it. Now read the second sentence. The data was relevant to the study. Ah, see? A tiny misread completely changes the entire sentence's meaning. Recognizing these small errors and self-correcting is exactly what restores that meaning.
Here's another scenario for you. Dense science passages. Science textbooks are kind of like thick forests. If you try to sprint through a thick forest, you are absolutely going to trip over a root or get completely lost. When you hit complex scientific texts filled with facts and new vocabulary, you must noticeably slow down your pace. Read it twice if you have to. Adjusting your pace ensures you maintain your comprehension and actually make it safely out of the woods.
Then we have dialogue challenges. If you find yourself in the middle of a novel, constantly asking, wait, who is even saying this? You need to pause. Practice reading those specific conversations aloud until they flow smoothly. By targeting your specific improvement areas, you become an incredibly sharp reader.
All right, Section 4, your homework and application.
So go ahead and grab your notebooks and just pause the explainer right here. You're going to want to take detailed notes on these 5 actionable homework questions. Think deeply about the relationship between fluency, self-correction, pacing, tracking, and the wisdom of Proverbs. Get these written down, and let's keep moving.
Now, as you answer those questions later, I really want you to keep this week's biblical morality tip in mind. Fluency isn't just about reading words accurately. It's ultimately about being understood. Colossians 4:6 reminds us to let our words be full of grace, seasoned with salt. Your ultimate goal, both in reading to understand and in speaking to others, is to communicate in ways that make truth beautifully clear, really helpful, and super encouraging.
And that brings us to Section 5, the Godly Learner Philosophy.
Here at Hero Smart Academy, we intertwine biblical morality directly with your education. Because engaging with educational content isn't just about cramming your brain with facts. Romans 8:6-7 promises a profound peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. When you apply wisdom properly, when you discern carefully what you read, and when you approach your education with a clear moral compass, experiencing this peace of mind is just the natural, beautiful result. It's what we experience, and it's exactly what we want for you.
Because here is the absolute ultimate truth. Education without morality will hurt. I mean, what is the point of knowing how to read perfectly, being brilliantly smart, and supposedly highly educated if you just continue to make bad choices that hurt yourself and the people around you? Fluency gives you the power to understand the world, but morality gives you the wisdom to navigate it safely. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about long after this explainer ends. If education gives you the tools to build your life, are you using those tools to construct a mind of peace, or are you just speed reading your way toward a crash? Thanks for learning with me today, 8th graders. Stay focused, slow down, and read to understand.